It says here, listen to this, even though the parents are physically adults, they are probably much younger emotionally. For example, when a parent does not notice that their child is crying or distressed, the parent may have their own level of distress and they need the same validation, nurturing, and care that the child needs. This is why emotional trauma within a family transfers from one generation to the next.
1, 2, 3.
What's up, everybody? It's your favorite YouTuber, the spiritual bad bitch. My name is Anila Sita. Yes, your girl is all natural today. You know, no nails, no fucking makeup. The lashes are coming off. This is my natural hair color, you know, learning to love myself authentically as I am. If you are new here, then welcome to the Bad Bitch Gang. If you're back, then I hope you're doing good today. I hope you are happy to find yourself here today. Today I have a story to share with you that I've been wanting to share for a while, but I just didn't feel ready to share yet. It triggered so much stuff inside of me that it's taken me a few months to realize why this happened. What happened was that I almost got shot, but we're gonna get to that in a second. It sounds very scary, and yes, it was very scary, but I really believe that everything that happens in our life is a result of what is going on within us. And the reason why I share these things is because I really want this to click for you in your life, and for this to give you the wisdom and the courage to face your own inner stuff so that your outer reality can become as beautiful and abundant as you deserve it to be. A few months ago, as you guys know, I have been showing up on YouTube a lot more authentically than I usually would. Somebody commented a long time ago when I started being authentic on YouTube, what made you start having this shift? And the truth is, it was actually this very story, the time that I almost got shot in Los Angeles here, where I am right now. Let me get to the story. This happened last year in December when I came to LA for 3 months. All right, I even did a fucking little sketch for you guys because I want to explain this shit properly and I don't know how to do it without being visual. So you see this little sketch here. These little square thingies on the side are cars, all right? And me and my boyfriend, we were in this car. We were in a car at the top of the hill at 3 in the morning just talking to each other. And there's 2 cars here at the bottom of the hill. We don't really think anything of it. Like, we're just chilling in the car smoking. And then all of a sudden, there's 2 things that are happening at the same time. One of the cars starts flashing a laser light on my chest. And you have to think about it this way. This is the road, right? They're down here, but we were kind of like hidden behind all these cars in front of us. There were loads more cars, like I just can't demonstrate it properly. And I was on the side that is safe. So they clearly had something to aim, aka a fucking gun, that they were pointing at my chest while I was sitting in the car here. And while this was happening, because it was almost as if a million things were happening in a split second, while they were pointing this laser at my chest, the other car, because one of them was pointing the laser, the other car starts reversing on full speed up the hill, and they're next to us. And I was, obviously my instinct when the laser was flashing on my chest was that I went down like this and was hiding, losing my shit. I really thought that I was gonna die. There was this overwhelming surge of energy and adrenaline in my body of like, this is danger, you need to get the fuck out of here. And when this car that reversed pulled up next to us, my boyfriend is really cool with handling these kinds of situations. So he was just kind of like, what's up? Do you need the parking space? And then the guys were like, no. Just get the fuck out of here, they say. They don't say anything else. So my boyfriend starts reversing, we drive away, but I was left traumatized after that experience. Basically, The reason why this story, even though it seems basic, all of the things that this shit actually led to is, first of all, as somebody who teaches things about spirituality and teaches the concept that everything in your external reality is always mirroring what's going on in your internal reality, it was difficult for me to really understand how that concept is playing into this very story. How did I attract such a unsafe experience? And this gets me to the next point, which is that this whole experience was triggering a shitload of stuff within myself that I had not been confronting for such a long time. That being number one, the lack of safety that I was carrying inside of myself for many years. When I say lack of safety, I've touched on this concept many times already in my videos. It's the fact that my childhood did not make me feel safe. I know I'm somebody that always goes on about childhood wounds, but really and truly, if you do not take the time to confront your shit from childhood, because that is where all of your belief systems come from, that is where your whole identity, personality was created. Can you recreate your identity? Yes, you can. But first, you must become aware of what has been programmed into you in the first place. And that's in our childhood. And it's really funny because after this experience happened to me, I remember speaking to a spiritual friend of mine, and I told her the story and she got chills when I was telling her it, and she said, to me it's a wake-up call. And I thought, wake-up call in what regard? And then that left me thinking about more. And I realized it was a wake-up call to get out of my addictions, because as you guys know, I've been addicted to weed, tobacco, coffee. So it was a wake-up call to get myself clean, which is what I did the past few months, and really abstaining from everything and taking care of myself. And to answer that question as well, that I've been getting a lot from you guys recently about how has my journey been with addiction, and if I'm still smoking or not, and like how that has been. So truthfully, since I've come to LA, I will be honest, I'm not gonna be a fucking fake ass bitch who's gonna say that I've been fucking clean when I fucking haven't been. Since I've come here, I have been drinking sometimes, I have been smoking cigarettes sometimes, and I also have been smoking weed, but I noticed that the energy that I have with it now is no longer the energy of an addiction. Only smoke in a situation where it's celebratory and it's not coming from a space of me wanting to escape. So that's with where I'm at when it comes to addiction stuff. Now, something I will say that has been helping me the past few months where I have been sober, and something that I've continued doing since last year, is Magic Mind. It's a company that I've already mentioned to you guys before. They make like these little shots that you can have every single day. This shit has been saving my life. I don't know what I would do without this, because genuinely this stuff has been helping a lot with clearing a lot of the addiction energies in my body, because it has something in it called nootropics. I don't know if you know what this is, but it's something that rewires connections in your brain, especially if you struggle with addiction. And I find this so cool. They also have adaptogens, which are like a type of mushroom that helps you relax, on top of matcha, which, you know, wakes you up, has kind of the effect of coffee. So this is something I have been taking every single day. It's so delicious to me now. I've been using Magic Mind for almost 9 months now, I believe. I really do think that people discovering this could help them so much. I think that this company could become kind of like the new, I don't know, like a healthy Starbucks, you know, like something that actually gives you a boost of energy, but yet also keeps your mental health in check. I think that's really important for me. Every day is kind of like a fucking hit or miss when it comes to my mental health, and Magic Mind has been stabilizing that a bit for me. If you guys would like to try Magic Mind, there is a link in the description box with a discount code. I'm so happy that they came into my life. Honestly, like, I just want to pass it on to as many people as possible. I really hope that it helps you as much as it helps me. Okay, let me get back to the story though. This experience of me almost being shot, it really continued playing in my mind as time passed. And truthfully, when I had to leave LA in February this year to go back to London because my visa expired, I was cleaning myself up from the trauma that has been suppressed so deeply inside of me. As soon as we give ourselves permission to express our pain, simply to express it, to talk about it, to fucking acknowledge it is when we are freed. And this is why I will never fucking stop talking about trauma and how much healing it will change your life, because I discovered this book that found me through a freaking random TikTok video. It's called Healing Your Lost Inner Child. And he talks about the fact that the reason why you are falling into the same kind of patterns in your life, being around the same types of people, having the same kind of results, is often because you are recycling your pain from your past. And another thing about your wounds is you cannot access your authentic self that is living your best life without healing that pain within. And I think that the journey looks differently for everybody. I'm not saying that you have to heal your pain the way that I've been doing it, but you definitely have to learn to feel it. That's the way that you're gonna heal it, is by feeling it. There's a quote here that says, "Our access to the true self is possible only when we no longer have to be afraid of the intense emotional world of early childhood." So in other words, healing our inner child wounds is what gets us access to our authentic self. This book was therapy in itself when I was reading it. It showed me so many things about myself. Oh my god, I feel like I'm jumping all over the place and I haven't even gotten to the main point, which is that the reason why I almost got shot, and this is what he talks about in this book too, is because there was a wound living inside of me of a huge lack of safety I've been carrying for so many years. And it had to get so bad in my external reality so that I would wake up and start paying attention to the wounds on the inside. Because you cannot attract an unsafe situation if you feel safe within. That doesn't add up. And you know what? Some people are gonna say, yeah, but sometimes shit just happens. But the truth is, if I wasn't carrying that density within myself, that pain, then that experience wouldn't have rattled me so much, which is why my boyfriend wasn't really left that badly affected by it, because to him, it wasn't as traumatic as it was for me. Why was it traumatic for me? Because I carry the wound, and this experience was bringing my attention to it. Do you get where I'm going with this? It's like, it's sort of a cheat code for you to be able to see what the wounds are inside of you when you look at what is happening in your life and what is coming into your life. In the book, he says that when something happens to us in our childhood, which is incredibly traumatic, it leaves something which is called a core wound. And then this core wound is created and certain parts of you get stuck, frozen in that child's self. That's where the expression comes from. You're acting like such a child. Somebody's acting like a child because a part of them has been frozen in that. I'll give you an example. This is actually an example from my personal life. Say you struggle to express yourself. Say when somebody asks you, how do you feel about this? Does this bother you? You can't really seem to talk about your feelings and speak up because there's a child inside of you that never learned how to speak up for themselves. This is the kind of family I have come from. People were not interested in how things made me feel. Now, this is where generational trauma comes in. You know how I just said that people didn't care how something made me feel? I took that personally. But then in this book, I read this one passage and it made me see something that I hadn't realized before. It says here, listen to this. If the parent is in emotional pain from their own wounding, they may not notice, understand, or see the child's emotional pain. Even though the parents are physically adults, they are probably much younger emotionally, and this shows up in how they respond or don't respond to their child. For example, when a parent does not notice that their child is crying or distressed, the parent may have their own level of distress and they need the same validation, nurturing, and care that the child needs. This is why emotional trauma within a family transfers from one generation to the next. The family as a whole is stuck in their emotionally frozen drama until someone breaks out and heals the cycle. Another way in which this shit plays out is in our romantic relationships. relationships, of course, because the dynamic that we usually have with our partner ends up mirroring the kind of love that we received and were giving when we were children. And I wanted to share this because I wanted to give you like a vulnerable example of what happened to me in my relationship that I'm in right now at the very beginning. I remember there was one time where I was feeling, I don't know, I think I was hurt or I was angry about something. I don't even know what it was anymore. And instead of me going to my boyfriend and simply communicating this, I completely had crossed that off the list of an option of something I could even do. I was like, no, I'm not gonna talk about this because he doesn't care about how I feel. Why should I talk about this? That makes me weak. I don't want to talk about what bothers me. I'm just gonna keep it to myself. It got so bad and so strong that I remember vividly that I was in the bathtub and I started kicking and screaming like a little kid. I was kicking the bathtub with my feet and I was like, and I started crying like a little child, and it gave me this flashback of when I was a kid and I really wanted something, or I really wanted to express something, or I really needed something, but if I did say something, it would either be a need that was unmet, or I would be mocked or ridiculed, or I would just be neglected to the point where it just made me feel like I don't matter. And this wound, it kept being triggered in my relationship. And I noticed that this is why it is so goddamn important to understand and be very clear about what happened in your past that has made you the way you are. You know what? I don't think it's always that you need to understand it, but I do think you need to voice it. And that's why he even says in this book that telling stories is one of the best ways to heal your pain, because in stories we can feel heard, we can feel seen. And another thing is with shame, Brene Brown, who is a shame researcher, she said that shame only lives in silence, which is why when you voice something you are ashamed about in yourself to somebody that you trust and love, and you get received with love, and that becomes validated, you are able to therefore release the shame simply by talking about it. Which is why I do this shit, because fucking hell, I think more people should do it, and I think more people should be honest about what really goes down in their life, because that way we could adopt more of a sense of humor. Now, some of you are probably gonna ask me, how do we heal this shit? How can we heal our pain? And I'm gonna give you a very simple way to do this that you can do on your own, which I actually learned through therapy and through reading this book, and it is through journaling. Now, if you are not somebody who likes to journal and write, you can also speak about it, but I have found that writing is a very effective way, even if you're not a writer. And if you don't know what to write about, I highly recommend getting this book, Healing Your Lost Inner Child, because he has lots of journal prompts that you can, of questions you can ask yourself. And he says it's very important, and I'm gonna reiterate this too, that you do not minimize your pain, that you do not say, oh well, that's just something that happened to everybody, and that you do not protect anybody in your story while you are telling it for yourself, because it is so important to voice every single brutally honest little bit of it so that you can free it from your soul and also understand certain things about yourself. Because truthfully, for many years I held back on being brutally honest about what I thought about my mom and dad, because with my dad it was that I was really afraid of him in general, and with my mother it was that I felt sorry for the things that she'd gone through, so I minimized my own pain as a way to be like, well, it's not my mom's fault, so I'm not even gonna think about the things that she's done that have hurt me. But see, this is an exercise that you can't skip out on, because when you are brutally honest with yourself, yeah, some pain is gonna come up, some anger is gonna come up, some shame is gonna come up, some sadness is gonna come up. But in all of that coming up and you feeling it and you really freely writing about it, can you put the pieces together of why you have certain personality traits? Now, one more thing I wanted to say about these patterns is So if you do not become aware of the patterns that existed within your family, you're gonna keep carrying on the same ones. That's just a fucking psychological fact. That's gonna keep happening if you don't confront your shit. And you know what? Confronting your shit is, like I said, just being honest about it and reframing how you want that to be. Like for me with my boyfriend, right? I have been learning so much about myself, and I've been realizing that, goddamn, nobody in my family fucking communicated. Nobody communicated. Nobody told me if they expected me to clean the dishes. A lot of people in my family did not explicitly say to the child me, go clean the dishes. They would just give me a look if I wasn't doing the dishes, and then talk shit about me behind my back because I didn't do the dishes as a fucking young child, because of their preconceived notions of how a woman needs to be. And so nobody taught me, but it was just silently expected that I'm supposed to be a certain way, which is why I noticed I feel so awkward and anxious in social situations, because I'm so used to thinking that somebody's talking shit about me or somebody's expecting something, that it has kept me for a long time in my life from really being my authentic self and just being empowered in myself and being like, look, if you have a problem or you're expecting something from me, you have to communicate that with me. And that's something that I've been realizing with my boyfriend, is like, if I have an issue with something, I can't just expect to sit back and think he's gonna read my mind, you know, which sometimes I wish he could, because I don't like to say how I feel. But I'm learning, nah, I need to actually say something if something is bothering me. And the thing is too, look at it this way, if you struggle to speak up, this really helps me. You are abandoning your inner child every time you don't voice what you're feeling inside. Every time you don't say something that bothers you, every time you suppress yourself. I have noticed certain people sometimes around me be cynical about this belief system that everything that happens in your external reality is mirroring what's going on in your internal reality. I've seen people be like, that's not true, because what about this, what about that? But if you really think about it and you really start putting the pieces together, you will see in time that this is the truth. Because I've noticed you can also manipulate this to your advantage, that when you become aware that your external reality is going to mirror without a fail what is going on the inside, you can then choose the thoughts that you want to have, like manifestation, and create the reality that you actually want, which is why I make these videos about manifestation. But this is the other side of it. Often wanting to manifest our desires has a lot to do with what we think about ourselves and our worthiness around having those desires. I actually made a meditation more like a healing, which is for your inner child. So it's healing your inner child, freeing your authentic self from a motherfucking cage. And this meditation is called Unapologetic. It is actually on my website if you guys want to try it out, because I really do believe in it. I did it at the time where I was very wounded myself, and I was tapping into what I would need in order to heal this part of me, and it really did heal me to create it. So I hope that it heals you in doing it and trying it yourself. Anyway, that's all I have for today. I really hope that this video helped you. I know it was a bit all over the place, but you know, my videos usually are, so I'm not gonna fucking say shit about that. I hope this helped you. I hope that it gave you some clarity, wisdom, gave you whatever you needed right now. I'm sending you so much love and light. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for getting to the end, and I hope to see you again soon. Love you. Bye bye.